Shadow Attorney-General Julian Leeser. Julian, do you think the conditions that Albanese spoke of should have been met before recognition rather than after?
Well, clearly, Shari, these are conditions that should have been met with recognition at the final point, not as the first point. This is a very sad day in Australian foreign policy. Anthony Albanese and Penny Wong have sold out a friend, an ally and a security partner for no apparent benefit here. This is not going to bring peace to the Middle East. It's not going to bring the hostages home. It's not going to see more people being fed. It's not going to see a peace process that comes about. This is just posturing at the United Nations. And there's no way that Mr Albanese can guarantee that any of the conditions he's put forward will be met. He has to answer the question, what if Hamas then goes and gets elected in elections on the West Bank? What then? No one seems to be able to answer any of those questions. This is a half-baked idea, and this isn't how we should be making the foreign policy of this country. Precisely.
And Julian, you're a lawyer looking at this from a legal perspective. Do the Palestinian territories even meet the legal requirements for statehood?
Well, I think there's a real question about that. And one of those questions is that question of government. Who is the government? So Hamas is de facto still the government for a large part of Gaza. The Palestinian Authority itself, there haven't been elections there for 20 years. If they hold elections there, it's very unlikely. All the commentators suggest that Mr Abbas would win those elections and that his party would win. And so there may be some other terrorist organisation like Hamas that could win those elections. So you have a real question mark about whether the Palestinian territories can meet the definition of statehood.
I also am concerned, and I heard Alex Rifchin speak about this earlier as well, that these comments today will only vindicate and embolden pro-Palestinian agitators here in Australia and increase anti-Semitism. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've argued for a long time, Shari, that some of the government's positioning in relation to Israel has had an effect here, and it has legitimised some of the anti-Semitism that's been going on in this country. The government, let's remember, has a detailed report from Gillian Siegel, the Special Envoy on Anti-Semitism, and they have not committed to a single one of the recommendations that she has, despite the fact that that report has now been out for more than a month. It's time the government committed to those recommendations and took this issue seriously.
And not only that, but he still describes the Harbour Bridge rally as peaceful. How can he ignore the terrorist flags, the Hamas symbols, the swastikas that were displayed on that march?
Not to mention the photographs of the leader of the terror regime Iran and people calling for intifada. I mean, our Harbour Bridge should not be being used for these purposes. A national symbol of unity should not be hijacked for causes that are of division. I supported the view of the police and the Min's government in relation to this very strongly. But these protests just continue, and for all those people who've been turning a blind eye to the terrorism of Hamas, they'll be popping the champagne corks tonight.
Indeed. And just finally, Julian, we also saw neo-Nazi protests in Melbourne over the weekend. So there's anti-Semitism from the far right and the far left here in Australia.
Yes, I want to condemn the Police Commissioner of Victoria again, because he has come on board and said he doesn't need a permit law like we have in New South Wales. He doesn't need move-on powers. And the Victorian Labor government has continued to show weakness. They promised to bring in a range of reforms after the dreadful attacks on Adas, Israel. They have not brought in a single reform. We can't have protesters of the far right, of the far left, of an Islamist variety taking over our streets.
Apologies, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Julian.